we've talked about the main problems that are faced by startups in Kenya. And it's quite evident that capital is an issue to talk about. So I would really just want to know if capital is accessible to most entrepreneurs in Kenya. And if yes, how and where can these entrepreneurs acquire the capital from?
Capital is an interesting conversation because it always depends on the market that you are in.
Yeah.
And what you are doing. There's a lot of places where you can be able to find what you need, but it's important to align yourself with the level of capital. So I would always, my thought is always aim at people that understand the problem you're trying to solve before you aim for people who don't. So funders can be anyone. They can be your parents, they can be your siblings, they can be your friends, or they can be capital investment or venture capital companies you've never come across before. But always start with family, friends, and people around you. If you can create that community of people around you, you'll always be able to springboard upwards. So that's my thought. That's my thought process. It's critical to be able to know how to get money from investors, but it's even more critical to know how to get money from customers. If you can spend a little time trying to get money from customers first, even if it's 2 customers, 4 customers, 10 customers, it becomes easy to get money from investors. In my experience, an investor will give you more money when they know somebody is going to give that money back to them than if they're assuming that you're going to make the money back, especially if you've not shown that you can do this before. So it's a big ask to tell somebody, give me X amount of money, when you've never shown that you can. That's the tricky part. So I'm open to it as an investor as well. And a lot of people would be, to hear people saying, these are my business plans, can we work together to raise capital? Definitely. But a little bit more reserved when somebody says, please give me money and do this thing. When you've obviously never done it before. You've never raised capital before. This is going to be your first time to raise capital or to do a business. And you expect somebody to trust you from day one. That's usually going to become a challenge for a lot of people.
Thank you so much, Tonee. Yeah, so we really understood that you need to make that space where you can borrow money from those who are close around you, and just make a good community of people around you where you can easily borrow from and acquire the capital from. What are some of the experiences you faced when you're starting out?
So many of them. Wow, I don't even know where to start. There's so many of them. I think the biggest, there are very many experiences, but the 3 things that come to mind that everyone can relate to is, number 1, you'll always be afraid. You've never done it before. You may not have somebody who's done it before in your life. So fear is one of the big things. The second thing is it'll be very hard work and sometimes very lonely work. So always anticipate loneliness. It's a very difficult job. And the third thing I think is important to mention is don't expect people to support you as you do it. Don't put pressure on other people to be like, oh, you have to give me support. You're my family member. You're my friend. Don't do that. I think there's those 3 things help me a great deal, because fear, when you acknowledge what the fear is, it allows you to be able to work around it. If you try to ignore the fear, you're in trouble. The second thing, and I think quite important, is because it's a lonely, difficult task, you must learn to take care of yourself as well. Eat when you need to eat, meet friends over the weekends, sleep 8 hours a night or 7 hours a night or 6 hours a night. Sleep well, don't overeat, don't undereat, run, take a walk, de-stress, take care of yourself. You are the biggest asset in the company. And when you learn to do that, it becomes very easy for you to know, how am I doing? And how is my company doing? It becomes easy for you to take the stresses and the beatings of the company in the early days. And the final one is expectations, which is I've just mentioned. Don't expect people to support you the whole time. Manage your expectations. There's a lot of entrepreneurs who are expecting people to show them love and give them money and buy their products. Manage your expectations. By doing those things and keeping yourself sane, you have a higher chance of succeeding. If you change the game up, you will struggle, and you shouldn't change the game up. So it's going to be a win if you focus. Focus, focus.
Wow. Thank you so much, Tonee. I'm so much proud to say or to hear you saying that when you're starting out, that part of fear comes in. And so you see, it's something that we really need not to see as abnormal or something that would compel us to failure. Fear is part of the process. And so we really need to embrace that. Thank you so much for that, Tonee.